Welcome everyone to another ICAgile webinar. My name is Eleanor Slamba, Community Support for ICAgile, and we're here to discuss healthy enterprise agility with Agile transformation. Enterprise agility starts with healthy teams. How healthy is your team? Samar Elatta of Agile Transformation is here with us tonight, and they are an accredited member training organization. And Samar has been with the company for many years, and before I turn it over to her, I just want to welcome you again and give you the housekeeping note that at any point during the presentation, Samar's preference is that if you have a question, you go ahead and drop that into the chat box. You'll see a little button that says chat at the bottom bar of the Zoom screen. Just hover your cursor over chat and drop your question in, and it will get addressed. There are going to be interactive portions of this webinar where she will ask for your input, and we'll use the chat for that. Thank you, people who have muted yourselves when not speaking. There will be times when you can use your voice, and Samar will direct us to that, and just remember to unmute yourself before speaking. And I'll turn it over to you, Samar.
Thank you, Eleanor. I'm excited to be here with everybody today. I'm excited to share with you guys a little bit about measuring teams and organizational health. Really, the way to know if my organization as a whole is healthy is by measuring the Agile teams within that organization. At any point in time, if you have a question and you drop it in the chat and we don't get to it, please just feel free to unmute and ask. That works just fine as well. We are going to make an assumption for this webinar that most of you guys are well-versed with Agile. I would like for you guys, just for my own note, to just drop kind of from 1 to 10 where you're at with your Agile knowledge or experience. So if you guys want to just quickly in the chat type 1 to 10, just where is your Agile knowledge? How do I see the chat?
To see the chat, again, just hover your cursor over the word chat at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and it'll pop up. So far, we have a 7, a 9, and a 6.
Perfect. Awesome. So yeah, we can definitely assume that most people are pretty familiar with Agile and are working with it pretty actively. So with that in mind, let me get started. So the big question that I'm going to have, where I'm going to have all of you guys interact with me, is about why are companies moving to Agile? We know that Gartner has predicted about 80% of all software projects will be moving to Agile in the next few years. So the question there is why? What are the benefits that people are hoping to get from Agile in different organizations? And so that's definitely going to be, so keep the thoughts coming, and feel free to start writing the answer to that. I'm going to introduce myself really quickly. My name is Samar Elatta, and I'm a coaching director for Agile Transformation, Inc. My background has been development, software engineering. I think that's when I started to see the benefits of Agile, was developing things and our customers were still not happy with them. I've been implementing Agile and training it for about 8 years now. I really truly believe in Agile as a tool beyond IT. I love working with organizations and helping them transform to Agile, transform their strategy into reality. And of course, an important part of that is the training needed, the facilitation, and of course, the positive energy in making sure that our teams are happier to come to work. So here's that question, and I want to start this by kind of hearing from you guys. What are your top Agile drivers for adopting? What are your top drivers for adopting Agile?
And just a quick note, if you're not seeing the chat button at all, you have to move your cursor towards the bottom of the screen before that gray bar even pops up, and it will pop up. There we go. So far, we have too many failed projects using other methods, proceeding towards a complex solution when the environment is uncertain,
I'm going to move this. I know. Hi, Bill. Thanks for joining. Here is the question that everyone is kind of going through and answering. What are your top drivers for adopting Agile? So if you guys can just tell me, and tell everyone really, I think when you type it just goes out to everyone, but what are the things that you guys are seeing either in organizations that you're coaching, what you're hearing from the executives as you're going to these different organizations?
They all want to do more with less.
More with less?
Yeah. Lots of pressure.
Perfect. So 30 more seconds. Go ahead and jot your thoughts down.
Sounds like people typing.
Yeah. Are you guys typing? Type away, don't be shy. So far we have, Eleanor, you wrote proceeding towards a complex solution in an environment of uncertainty. Better earlier, absolutely. Faster is something that I hear a lot as well. Yes, faster. Okay, perfect. So as we went out and we kind of talked to our different clients, we heard a lot of similar things. I'm going to share with you guys really quickly kind of what we're hearing from the executives of a lot of organizations, from things such as large backlog of work not getting done, a lack of predictability. So we hear this a lot. We're trying to plan and we're trying to figure out our roadmap, but there's a lack of predictability. Missing deadlines. Our customers think we're the black hole. They're IT, we're the black hole. They don't have confidence in our ability to deliver. And of course, the popular, consistently changing business priorities, silos, handoffs, slow time to market, can't deliver fast enough for customer needs. Missing, incomplete, changing, ambiguous requirements. My favorite is this one, no focus. Multitasking several projects by the same people. So there's this feel that if we are working on multiple projects at once, then we have progress. And the fact is, we're working on a lot of things and not finishing anything. So I assume a lot of you guys have heard these before and you know them, but this is a lot of what drove. How do we measure organizational health? How do we measure a team's health? What are the things that are important for us to measure? I'm not going to go through the Agile Manifesto. I assume you guys understand this and know it. So the idea here was, of course, that we have an Agile team. You guys know what an Agile team, it's a cross-functional team. Something that's really important is, of course, we still keep our tribes. We keep our communities of practice. So I want to give you really quickly how we view a team, because I think this is important. Most of you guys know this, but it's important to talk about this leadership triangle. Having a product owner is critical, and then having our Scrum Master or team facilitator is critical. This side that I want to talk about is this right here, because it's not as widely spread. So I think every team has this, but sometimes, and it could be one or two people, but a lot of times we don't call this out as an important part of this leadership triangle. And it's really critical that you have a solution lead, because this is the person who's going to take this technical vision and take this business vision and help drive what the technical vision is going to be, to ensure that we have simplicity, to ensure that we're building technical excellence into it, and to guide the team as well, and to mentor and grow them. So this is kind of an important concept that we have here. So let's talk about today, how do we measure what are some of the hard metrics that we use to measure? Hello?
Hello.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Could you guys, if you don't mind, hello, I'm Kat. Okay, if you guys don't mind, could you guys do me a favor and just mute, because I'm hearing a lot of background noise? Could just be me. Okay, so some of the things that we measure are these hard metrics that I think everyone measures, which is tell me what is done, what is the team doing, and how much did it cost me, right? So a burn-up chart is a very famous way to measure that. Let's see, when the team says they're going to commit to 20 points, how many points do they really get, and is our scope changing? And when our scope changes, how much does that actually cost me, right? And then measuring from sprint to sprint, is the cost going up or down? And are we getting closer to our goal? Or are we getting farther away is important, but it's also important to measure the team predictability. When they say that they're going to get 33 points done, are they able to get close to it? We've been measuring velocity in the Agile community for so long that this became a huge indicator, a huge part of what management and executives focus on. What's the team's velocity? What's the team velocity? Is it getting better? To a point to where it's a bit scary. And we wanted to say there is a lot more than just velocity. There's other things that you should be measuring. Of course, we talked about the concept of one team. As you scale Agile, you start to have another team that needs to manage the dependencies between this one team, right? So there's a lot of other concepts, but the basic idea behind it is that if I have one team doing Agile and now I'm starting in my organization to have multiple teams, I need to have a team above that that's helping with keeping everything consistent. And then, of course, a much bigger picture is, well, if my entire company is doing Agile, how do I have an enterprise view of that? How do I actually have all these teams that are in Agile teams, still ensure that we have communities of practice to help them, and manage how the work is flowing? A big thing that we always say is that if you can't tell me how the work is flowing all the way from the top to your teams, then unfortunately that means you don't know. That means the work is not flowing, at least not effectively, right? There's always a way that it gets there, but there can be some misalignment. So this is how we help get that alignment, by having these program teams helping manage this. So why is this important, and how does this all tie into this idea of how do I measure my team health? I want to share with you guys the 5 dimensions that we truly believe help a team understand how healthy are we. And one thing that I want to say before I take you to the demo and I actually take you to the website is that teams are always, our management and executives are always asking, well, is the team high performing? They're always very concerned about performance, and usually these measurements, these hard measurements here, right? And one thing that we found is that there is a huge correlation between foundation and culture to performance. If you want to have a high-performing team, your foundation needs to be very strong and stable. Your culture needs to be very strong. Your teams need to be happy, and that is the lever that, as an organizational leadership, you have to pull to ensure the performance of your team. Now, clarity is important, but clarity is also what we call another output, right? The input to clarity is strong leadership. So if you have strong leadership, you'll have strong clarity. And I'm going to go through these in a lot more detail. Let me pull up the website. I'm going to use the website so you guys can see the bigger picture of this. Excuse me. Okay, so let me show you guys a sample team here. So let's talk about the first dimension, and clarity is what we consider to be our first dimension. We need to have clarity on 3 different areas. We need to have clarity on the vision, clarity on planning, and clarity on roles. So what do we mean by clarity on the vision? What is the purpose of this team? Why do we exist, and how do we measure our success? On the plan, we want to be asking, are we clear on our roadmap? Are we clear on our release plan? And are we clear on our iteration plan? Now, what some people will tell you is, well, I don't know if it's fair for you to measure us on this. We're not using Scrum, we're using Kanban. So we wouldn't have that clarity. And so we change it a little bit to say, are we clear on what we need to do over the next few weeks? Are we clear on what we need to do over the next few months? And are we clear on what we're going to do over the next few quarters here under roadmap? So for Kanban teams, this might be low, their release plan, and that's okay. Maybe they don't need to have that clarity, and it's okay to just have the clarity on what we're going to do for the next few weeks. For a project team or a team that is working on a feature, it's probably good for them to know at some level, how are we doing? How is our release plan? Do we have clarity on what's coming up in the next few months? So the other side of it is, of course, the roles. And the roles, what we're asking here is, do I know what other people are doing on my team? Do I understand their roles and responsibilities? Do I understand what is expected of me on this team, right? Great. We all do understand our roles and responsibilities. Now we want to talk about generalizing specialists. Are we helping each other out? Or are we still getting stuck in this mentality of, it's not my task? So this is the first dimension. The second dimension here is going to be on performance. For performance, we measure two things. We measure confidence, and then we, of course, have the hard metrics. Confidence is a very important metric. It's what we call a leading indicator. If you ask about this early enough, you'll know if you're heading in the right direction. If you ask about them late, so one example of a metric that goes along with confidence that we ask about late are things like number of escape defects in production, right? This is still a great thing to measure, but that's what we call a trailing indicator. It's already happened, so it can't tell you much ahead of time. So who are we asking about their opinion on how the team is doing and what is the question? We're asking the product owner, their business customer. Hey, product owner, how confident are you in the team's ability, their skills, the tools that they have in place to be able to deliver on this goal? Hey, team, are you guys confident in your own ability, capability, the tools, the environment, the number of people that you have, their expertise to be able to deliver? And then, of course, stakeholders. So stakeholders are management, people outside the team that are interacting with the team. Are you confident in the team's ability to deliver? We found that confidence is often a very big indicator if the team can do it or not. And then, of course, we do need to measure these hard metrics. Now, this here, this is a survey, right? So these questions right here are not a questions of numbers. It's a question to your team. You should, of course, have the numbers somewhere being tracked. But we in Agile have a lot of ways to do that with the burn up chart and the burn down chart, right? So with the hard metrics here, what you're looking for in predictable velocity, for example, is within the past several iterations, have you delivered within 10% of your goal? For example, if I said I'm going to have 100 points, did I have 90 points or more, right? So this is very helpful.
And if you joined, you might need to hit mute. I think that one's for you, Rose. Thanks. Samar, you're okay. You don't have to mute. Thanks.
There we go. Now we can hear you.
Perfect. So the next thing that we're going to look at and try to measure is time to market. I think time to market is one of those things that when we ask, everyone says speed and time to market is why we're moving to Agile. So it's very important to measure, well, how are the teams doing, right? And what does that mean? That doesn't mean we're delivering every day. are we delivering as fast as desired by our product owner? Value delivery is, are you measuring and delivering value? Is there actual return on investment? There's 3 questions that we're going to ask for this one. The first one is going to be, is your product owner even talking about business value? The second one is going to be, do you put metrics against the things that you're actually delivering, right? So is there weights, for example, some organizations use that, or business value points? Are we actually having a way to communicate to our team and to others that, okay, this is how we're measuring value? And then the third one that I think is really, really important, but unfortunately oftentimes missed, is, do you measure business value after you move this to production? Are we measuring business value post-implementation? Quality. Are you tracking your escape defects, right? And one thing to consider here that's really important is that escape defects are measured differently by teams. Some teams view escape defects as defects that are showing up in production. And some teams say, no, escape defects to us is anything that our product owner finds. And so very important that we have that conversation to define what does that mean for us, and then are we measuring it? And of course, last, but very important, is response to change, right? Everyone will tell you we're moving to Agile because we need to be able to respond to changes very quickly. Okay, great. How are we doing on that, right? And there is 2 questions to measure this. First is the obvious one. Is your team flexible enough that they can manage the incoming changes? The other side of that equation is also, though, great, my team is very flexible to change that. Is my product owner disciplined enough to give the team the time that they need in an iteration and not change their mind so much that the team is no longer effective, right? So in order for a team to be effective, they do need some period of time where they're allowed to get the work that they started done, right? So we don't want responding to change to equal chaos. Guys, if you have questions, do stop me and ask. Is there any questions on these first 2 areas? I see a few things popping up.
I was just thinking that was really brilliant to think about the business value after delivery. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it's very awesome. Yeah, it's so important, right? And this is what happened, guys. So, I mean, I'll explain, how did we even come up with this, or why are we doing this? What we found is that all of us as coaches and as trainers have different ways that we measure this. We all have our Excel sheet, and when we first go into an organization, there's certain things that we look at. We all have some level of assessment, right? Before we had this, what I used to do was I used to draw a radar, very different than this, with just 10 things up on the wall, and I would ask the team to rate themselves. I think in this community of coaches and trainers, we all know that measuring the agile health of a team is a lot more than just velocity. It's a lot more, there's a lot more that goes into it, but there was no consistent way. So even for our own coaches, there was no consistent ways for us to have this and to know how to measure. And so this was just really helpful way to know, hey, you know what, these are the things that, with a lot of research, with talking to a lot of people, including our ICAgile partners, we found that these are the areas that are critical to measure. And so then here, moving down, you're going to see leadership, right? So we talked about the importance of having strong leadership. So the team facilitator, and this is the person in charge of facilitating the process. We call them a team facilitator because some people use Scrum, and then it would be called a Scrum Master, but others don't. So it's not always called a Scrum Master. Are they good at facilitating? And how are our meetings? Right? Are our meetings effective, or are they not? Next, we're going to talk about servant leadership. Servant leadership is a huge topic, right? So hopefully your organization that you're doing this has gone through training with you where you've been able to give them the Agile concepts and the concept of servant leadership. If not, this would show up in the survey, and then this is what you would use to recommend. Well, here are some of the training that I think your teams need to go through. And so here under servant leadership, it's a very, very important thing for a team facilitator because unfortunately, hello? Was there a question? Okay. So one thing that's going to be really important for servant leadership is do they have strong servant leadership skills? They're the ones responsible for teaching everyone about this agile process and keeping everyone honest. So are they someone who's coming across as very directive, as very command and control? Or are they someone who is building and empowering a self-organizing team? Last but not least, for team facilitator, of course, we're measuring their impediment management. Do they remove impediments and manage them correctly? Does the team feel like they don't get stuck? And what does that mean? That means, is this team facilitator close enough to the team to where they can foresee impediments and help remove them? But when they do get stuck, is this person managing those impediments and attacking them like a hawk? Right? So then here, of course, we have leadership. You have your technical lead. And so for this person, again, we're asking the question around servant leadership. And what does that mean for a technical lead? It means, are you growing more technical leaders? Are you growing the expertise of your team members? Are you mentoring them? Are you pair programming with them? And then, of course, we're also going to ask about their technical leadership. Are you providing the technical, your technical expertise to the team? Are you helping them stay simple? Are you helping them maximize the amount of work not done? I mean, are you helping meet the product owner vision? And then, very important, of course, probably the key to all of this is our product owner, right? We always say if the product owner doesn't care, then no one else should. And so we want to find out, first and foremost, engagement. Is our product owner there? Are they available? Are they answering the team's questions? Are they co-located? I say this with hesitance because I would say co-located as much as feasible. Sometimes they can be co-located, but if you're not co-located, then are you finding face time with the team? Secondary would be backlog management, of course. And what does that mean? It means, are they breaking down the features down into the right chunks? Are they understanding what the team can handle? Are they providing clear acceptance criteria? And then, of course, are they clear to the team about the priority and the ranking of the backlog? Now, here, leadership, I think, is very important, which is that as a product owner, are you being honest in telling the team if they're moving in the right direction or not? Are you being honest in providing feedback during the demos if what they're building is not what you're expecting? And then finally, but very important, so people say, what? You're measuring management, but they're not a part of the Agile team. But here's the deal, right? Managers are a critical part of a team. A team that has managers that understand Agile, they can help them grow. And unfortunately, teams that have managers that don't understand the Agile concepts, and those managers end up going back to tasking those individuals, to firefighting, and to not allowing that team to become self-organized. So it's a very critical part. The first thing we ask, of course, is about that servant leadership again. And we want to provide these three metrics also, honestly, as a way for managers to know how they're being measured in Agile differently than what they had before. So we ask that about empowering the team, making sure that when one of their team members goes to them with a problem, that they're teaching them how to fish, not giving them the fish. And so then the second thing right here is going to be people development, right? Are you growing people? Are you working with them on their individual career goals and helping them grow? And then last but not least is this idea of process improvement. Right? This is now that they're not focusing on the tasks as much, and there is still a little bit of focus, but the majority of it should go away in Agile. There should be a lot of focus around the process improvement. So next, I think this is definitely by far my favorite. When I see this low, it doesn't matter what else is high. It really means that if our culture and team dynamic is not healthy, we got to focus here, because that's going to be the foundation of a strong team. So for this here, we're going to be asking a very basic question. Are you happy as a part of this team? Are you happy working here as a part of this organization? Second, we're going to ask about collaboration. Do you feel like you're effectively collaborating? This could be face-to-face or virtually, but are you doing that? Are you working with your team members and collaborating? The biggest one, I think, in this entire radar for me is trust and respect. Do you feel trusted and do you feel respected as working a part of this team? I think when I see that this one is low, it says to me that there is a layer below the surface that's building, or this team is really in a storming phase, and so just helping them to get out of that storming phase to norming. Creativity and innovation is very important, of course. So this is, are we allowed to do it, and do we do it? And then finally, accountability. And this isn't, are we accountable to our managers, but this is, do we do what we say we're going to do? Do we get the work done, and are we accountable to each other for what we say we're going to do? Finally, we have foundation. And foundation is broken down into two areas. It's broken down into agility and team structure. Agility is measured by sustainable pace. So are we burning out, or are we sustainable? Then here we are going to measure the self-organization of a team. So are we allowed to make decisions on our own, or is there a lot of red tape? Are we having to go get approvals constantly? And then technical excellence. So about this one, technical excellence is a huge topic. There is so much that goes into this, DevOps and so much. So we're actually creating a radar around technical excellence, taking a lot of the things from ICAgile's development track, of course, and there's a lot that goes into this. But here we're just asking a few simple questions to just get a picture of it at large, which are, do we have the right automation tools? Do we follow the right standards and best practices? And then do we have the right environment and knowledge within the team to achieve technical excellence? Planning and estimating, how do we do? Is this truly being done in Agile? Are we still measuring in hours? Or do we know how to break stories down and relatively put story points on them? Effective meetings, no need to say how important this is to you guys. You all know meetings are the #1 waste in organizations. So how are our meetings? The fact is, I tell organizations all the time, if you have dysfunctional meetings today and you move to Agile, we have more meetings in Agile. So Agile is not a silver bullet. It's not going to fix it. You're actually going to have more dysfunction. So making sure that you're going through the proper training, facilitation, to make sure that you know how to be able to run meetings is going to be critical, right? Because you're just going to have more dysfunction if you don't do that. So for this one, what we're really focusing on is how is our Scrum Master, I mean, it kind of relates, right? But how is our Scrum Master doing? Stand-ups, planning, demos, retrospectives, and even other people on the team. So your product owner has sessions that they run, collaboration sessions, and then your technical lead is going to have design sessions with the team. So how are all those ran? Finally, the final component that we're going to focus on here is going to be team structure. So team structure is size and skills. Simple. Do you have the right size and skills on the team? Allocation and stability. Allocation, are they allocated the right way, or is everyone 20%, 30%, etc.? And then, of course, very critical, are they stable? Are these teams staples, or do they keep shifting people on and off the team? And that way we can't really ever get anything done or predict velocity. And finally, our actual environment where we sit, or how we virtually connect with one another. So is our environment open, and does it invite collaboration? Or is it a closed environment where people are in high cubes and can't see each other and talk to each other, or they're sitting very dispersed in a building? And then if we are a distributed team, do we have the right things in place to have the virtual conversation? So this is just an overview of the radar of the things that we need to measure. What we call this is a deep dive retrospective. So as you guys all know, in Agile, every team has a retrospective. However, it's very tactical. And so this is our way to create a deep dive retrospective for the organization as a whole, and for teams that's more strategic. So I'm going to pause and take questions before I take you guys into the multi-team.
We have one here from Michelle. Thank you. She says, in size and skills, do you ask about generalizing specialists? And I did see that. Didn't I is it clarity?
Yes. So under clarity, and the reason why we ask for it under clarity is because we feel like it goes along with the roles, right? If I truly believe that my role is just a tester and I don't want to do anything else, then I'm going to rate journalizing specialists low, or other people, frankly speaking, are going to rate this one low to say that, you know what, we have a lot of people on the team that don't want to help us. And whereas if I believe that journalizing specialist, if I believe that my role is a tester, but I can also help with analysis, and then this will be higher. Of course, journalizing specialist is about treating people as people rather than as resources. So.
And when you say allocating the right way, do you mean just having people be assigned to one project at a time or work on one project at a time?
It can be working on one project at a time. There is certainly people on the team that are shared resources that are going to be at maybe at 50% or something like that. But the idea is that we have enough allocation to get the work done, right? What you can't do is you can't spread someone 3 ways, right? Ideally they should only be on one project at a time, but if they're not, are they at least 50% and 50%, and is it clear cut, or do we keep saying, hey, you know what, like what I see honestly a lot of times happen is no one says to you that people are not dedicated. They don't say that, but what happens is, oh, well, I need to pull them into this production support. Well, I need them to research this for me, and so then they're not really, their allocation is not there, right? They keep being pulled into other things. So even though they're telling you that they're at 100%, they're really not. And so we need to make sure that we have a stable enough allocation of our individuals to be able to get the work done, and honestly, to be able to predict our velocity. That makes it very difficult to predict our velocity.
Thank you.
Good questions, guys. Any other questions you might have? Okay, let me show you this. It might spark up a little bit more questions. So now that you guys saw the summary view, this summary view is, it's a pretty picture, but it actually doesn't give me the full story, right? The way that I get the full story is by seeing this picture here. And what do you guys think this picture is showing? Why do I say that this is the more important view?
Looks like they're not predictable on their velocity.
Yeah, this picture definitely shows that this one is really low. But more than that, the interesting thing that it's showing me is their consensus. So when we talk about teams moving from forming to storming to norming to a high-performing team, this is where I see it. This is where I know exactly where this team is at. When I see a team that has opinions that are this dispersed, so I have one person that's saying, hell no, excuse my language, to having size and skills, right? And then I have one person that's saying, yeah, we're awesome. It's like, ugh, you guys are not on the same page. And honestly, when I see that there is so much of people not on the same page, then the more important conversation to have is, why are we not on the same page? Are we still forming? Do we need to answer some of these questions here of who are we? What are we doing and why? Because that might get us better everywhere else, right? So go ahead. Someone have a question?
Yes, big question. Well, thank you, Mia, for adding that the dots are depicting the team votes, as Samar indicates. And the question of the hour, I suppose, is, can we have access to this radar chart, or is this proprietary? I believe this will be very instrumental to providing visibility into the agile health of our team.
Absolutely, yes. You guys can have access to it. I'm actually going to, if you want to email me, or I can email everyone if everyone's interested, but I do have a blank radar that you guys can have to fill out. If you're interested in actually being able to facilitate this for your teams, then absolutely we have a certification that people can go through to be able to take this. The reason why we have a certification, it's a short thing, it's just a 1 day, but it's because it's important that this is not used wrong. Anytime you have an assessment, you have something like this, if it starts to be the way that the performance of the team is measured by management, what will happen, as you guys all will know, is everyone will game it. It'll no longer be a real thing. It'll just be fake. And so everyone will just try to look good. And what we do here, and why you guys are seeing, this is a real team and this is a real client, and why you guys are seeing very real answers here, is because people want to improve and help each other grow, and that's how this was presented to them. These results are very anonymous. So anyhow, there's just a lot of things that it helps to go through a training and kind of learn it a little bit more. So I know are we starting to run out of time? Do we need to go fast?
We're getting to the end portion, I think, where we're going to want, 7:43. So yeah, 5 or 6 more minutes, and we want to open it up to questions. And I guess I'm just wondering, the obvious sort of, what do you do if the answers are really low? If you've got to move quickly to get your health greater.
Absolutely. So that's the most important question, I think. And I'm sorry, guys, there's more that I want to show you, but I don't think we're going to have time. So I'm going to just scroll through this pretty quickly here to show you the important things. This here is obviously just quick analytics. We want to be able to tell a team how they're improving and by how much. We want to celebrate their top competencies. We want to celebrate their strength. That's why it's the first thing that's on here is, what are you doing that's going well? And we want to celebrate that. Now, and most importantly, this needs to be a facilitated assessment. This can't be something where you send it to them at their desk. This is something, it's a 2.5-hour session. It's just like a regular retrospective. People are in their room and people are discussing. So people should be adding improvements, and we really, really tell people you need to add in as many comments as possible. So they add in comments under improvements, and then they also add in comments under here, which is the actual dimension. So under performance, they're going to add in comments. Under leadership, they're going to add in comments, right? That way people can take on things and grow. But the most critical thing and the final outcome of this, going through this, is the recommendations. And so when you ask the question of how, okay, things are really low, what do we do now? Well, you need to have someone who can help you. You need to have a coach who can help, especially with these organizational items. And you need to have training. I mean, training is going to be an essential part of how they're going to be able to improve some of these areas, right? Because people are not going out and doing bad on purpose. They don't know what it looks like to do better. They don't know how do we have a better planning meeting? How do we do the story point thing you're talking about, right? And so that's where, us as coaches come in and can help these teams grow, and the training comes in as well. So just really quickly, I want to show you this. There's 3 categories here that you add to. There's the individual, the team, and the organization. And the idea here is, how do I, so me as a product owner, I need to write better stories. As a team, we need to have better meetings. This one here is very critical, which is, okay, we have our items. There's a lot of things, and I see this is a real team. Like I said, sorry, please ignore the names. There's a lot of things here that are organizational that they're saying, this is not something that's for us to handle. This is something for our program team, or sometimes even higher, for our program team or for our executives to handle. So very quickly, I know we're running out of time. I want to show you guys another view, which is just, how do I pull what we just saw together and have the program team, have that higher level team be able to make decisions on it. It's going to be this multi-team health radar where you can see all of the teams and filter down to the ones. So we want to focus on Agile Millions and this team here. And see the teams, not to compare to each other. So very important that we know this is not used to compare to each other, but this is used to see patterns. When you're doing enterprise transformations, patterns is what is the indicator of what you as an organization need to do. So this right here is just a quick evaluation of all that, where you can see yellow. If I see yellow across all roadmap like this, then we need to take an action from an organizational standpoint. This is no longer a team thing. And then, of course, this is where I can go in and pull items from my sub-teams. So it's always a pull, not push system. So my teams can't push things onto the program team, but we're going to pull in the items that we think we can work on. So I'm going to summarize here and finish the session here and ask you guys to go ahead and ask me any questions you have. I apologize, I went over.
Perfectly fine. People are enjoying it, and it's great information.
Yeah, good stuff and nicely presented. Nice, beautiful job.
Thank you. These are the certifications for those of you who asked about that. There is the Agility Health Facilitator. So this is learning how to facilitate a team retrospective. Of course, being able to go through and facilitate this, which we have a lot of Scrum Masters that are doing this in organizations, doesn't make you a coach. So a coach is someone who knows when you see an item low, what do I need to go do? So for each one of these areas, how do I coach? And then enterprise coaching is obviously for those that want to help finance and other people get involved, and for the organization as a whole. There's a promo code here that I want you guys all to have. It's ICAgile-AH. So please go here and enter, go to agilityhealth.com and enter this promo code, and you'll be able to play with this and see it live. Okay, questions?
Well, you have a compliment on the presentation, so that's nice to hear. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, it's not just mine. You're getting them in chat too. So.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll open the chat. Are we having any? Thank you, guys.
I don't see questions, just a bunch of great jobs.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, guys. My information is right here. So if you want to connect with me or talk to me, please feel free to reach out. This is my email here, samar@agiletransformation.com. I'd love to hear from you guys and to talk to you more. So
I feel certain you will be hearing from some of these folks, and one of the nice things about the ICAgile community is it does keep people in touch with each other who are working in the same discipline in different parts of the world, or working on similar projects or things on the opposite sides of the wheel that you have there that can be levers and supports for each other. So we do have the learning roadmap across 8 Agile disciplines and all kinds of training that can be accessed from different member training organizations all over the world at ICAgile.com. So we really appreciate and welcome all the input and support. And if you're new to the ICAgile community and want to find out how to become accredited or how to access some training, that's all there for you on the ICAgile website. We also have a blog called the Agile Zone, where we will be posting the recorded link. We'll be emailing it to everyone who signed up for the webinar. You all get the extra credit for being live and interactive with us. Some people just want to listen, and that's great too. So thank you all very much. I want to introduce my colleague, Jackie from ICAgile, who will be hosting future webinars, and she's here with us, so thank you, Jackie. And all the member training organizations who have helped us develop this format for presenting webinars and sharing knowledge and information. Samar, you did a beautiful job. We're glad to have you with us. Oh, where can we see you guys next? Phoenix, DC. Well, if you mean Agile Transformation or ICAgile, what? Brian, can you be a little more specific? Agile Transformation. Go right ahead, Samar.
We're everywhere. Actually, we were just in DC, and we will be there for sure next Agile. Why am I forgetting the name of the Agile show? What is it called? Agile
2015. Yeah.
We'll be there. We were there last year wearing our doctor coats, and we will for sure be there next week. I love ICAgile and working with them. I think a lot of what we do ties in together. So I'm always on these webinars hearing other people, and that's how I actually asked Eleanor if I could participate, was because I heard a great webinar last time I was on. So you can always find us on ICAgile as well, and you can reach out to me and I can give you more information for sure.
And